and welcome to another exciting edition of Explore Richland. I'm your host, Mark Ingham. Well, school is back in session, but it's not only our students who need to be educated, but us parents as well. Educated on the rules when driving in and around school zones. Now this morning we are at White Bluffs Elementary, and we are privileged to talk with Richland Police Officer Eric Edwards. Eric, thanks so much for joining us today.
Yes, absolutely.
Well, in Richland we have 10 elementary schools and 4 middle schools, which means 14 school zones in town. Eric, I wanted to ask you, what is a school zone, how are they marked, and what times are they active?
Okay. So school zones are anything that's around the school. So usually it's around a marked crosswalk, and it extends 300 feet to either direction. Okay. There are some exceptions to that within the city council's power and privilege. They can extend that school zone as far as they feel like it's needed, as long as it's running along the school or a playground that belongs to the school. So usually it's 300 feet on either side. Every school zone in Richland is marked, either with a flashing sign or with a sign that says, well, school kids are present. Okay. Knocking the speed down to 20 miles per hour. Statistically, they've shown that the slower you're going, the faster you can stop, and if you can't stop, the less damage that you would do if you hit something.
And now, Eric, what advice can you offer parents as they are, busily maybe getting ready for school, get their kids to school, and get on the road with the rest of their day?
Don't be in a hurry.
Yeah.
Understand that when school starts again, you have to slow down. You have to leave earlier to get to where you're going. All those things are important. When you're around the school zone, try to minimize those distractions that you might have inside your car. Don't think about what's going on at the office that day. Don't worry about what's going on Facebook or on your cell phone. Put that stuff down until you're safely away from the school and on your way where you need to go. When you're in the school zone, be safe. Park where you're supposed to park. Don't park too close to crosswalks. Pay attention to the volunteer crossing guards that are out there. Don't make unsafe lane changes or U-turns or be in a hurry. That's ultimately what it is. Keep your heads up, keep your distractions down, and just pay attention.
Yeah, well, great advice there. Now, Eric, I was hoping you could explain the rules for navigating around school buses. I know recently on your Facebook page, Richland Police Department Facebook page, you posted a great graphic. So can you just maybe reinforce those rules?
I'll do my best.
Yeah.
We get a lot of questions about school buses and when you can pass them and when you can't. If you try to get to just the base of that, if you're going the same direction that the school bus is going, you need to stop when the school bus stops and puts out its stop sign. If you're going the opposite direction, you only need to stop if it's a 2-lane road. If it's more lanes than that, the traffic that's coming at the school bus doesn't need to stop. It's only the traffic that's going with the school bus. And usually the school district does a really great job of planning bus stops where it's the safest for the students. Okay. So they're going to try to minimize some of that. But if you're behind a school bus and it stops and you decide I'm not stopping for it and go around it, that is every time that's a violation.
In my brain, if you can be distracted while you're driving a car, I feel like you can be distracted while you're outside of a car. I don't know if distracted walking is actually a thing, but I wanted to ask you about what can our students, maybe what can our parents do if they're walking to school, just to ensure that they are doing that as safe as they can?
Yes, distracted walking is a thing. And not only is it a thing, there's an awareness on it now. And so you'll run into these awareness programs at high schools and colleges about people looking and heads up, phones down while walking around. So it is a thing. People will walk across crosswalks without looking left or right, just think they have the right of way because they're not paying attention. You can find videos of this stuff on YouTube all the time where people are walking into power poles and mailboxes and things like that. So there are really good things to keep in mind while you're walking. You want to look left, then right, then left again when you cross. You need to make sure that it's safe. If a car's coming and they're supposed to stop for you at the crosswalk, make sure you have eye contact with that driver first. Make sure that they really see what you're wearing and what you're doing. Another good tip is to if you can, wear the brighter clothing. Society kind of has pushed this idea of darker clothes make you look thinner and make you look better sometimes. That doesn't help when you're walking. You want a driver to be able to see you from as far away as possible and be able to react to you as quick as possible. So those are all great ideas to do. Try not to wear headphones that cover both ears while you're walking. So at least you have an idea of what's going on around you. If you hear a loud car coming up behind you or something that doesn't sound right or a collision or screeching tires, something to give you an idea. if your view is blocked when you're trying to cross a road or walk along the side of the road, move to somewhere where it's safer. Don't cross a crosswalk if you can't really see what's coming. Wait until you want to make sure that it's safe. Try to only cross at designated crosswalks. That mid-block crossing, drivers aren't expecting that usually. And I'm not just talking school zones, I'm talking anywhere. The mid-block crossings, people don't really expect that sometimes. So try to use those designated crosswalks.
Great. Now this is an ideal time to talk about our rules for crosswalks and, you know, when a driver needs to yield to a crosswalk. It may sound common knowledge, but actually one of these rules was a surprise to me. So talk a little bit about the rules at a crosswalk.
Okay. So a crosswalk goes into effect when the pedestrian starts using the crosswalk. So sometimes you get that confusion. Is the pedestrian going to cross or not cross? And so normally a pedestrian should show their indication that they want to cross by stopping at the crosswalk and waiting and looking left, right, and trying to make eye contact. Ultimately, here's what you need to think of. As a driver, if someone enters the crosswalk and you are the closest car to them and that person is in your lane of travel, you have to stop every single time. If it's a really major road, the cars farthest away on the far extreme side of the road, they might not need to stop yet until a pedestrian at least makes it halfway across the road. That's probably the best way to think about it. So as a driver, you'll see the marked crosswalk, you'll see someone wanting to cross, you should be prepared to stop right there.
Yep, no doubt. Now, Eric, I was curious, how does the Richland Police Department patrol in school zones?
Okay, so in school zones, what we do is we kind of keep a big list of where all the schools are, and we kind of keep track as the traffic safety unit, which school zones we've worked at which times in the morning so that we can make sure that we've covered every school zone. But ultimately, we use our school zones, we use our marked patrol cars. We go out there, we're not trying to hide and we're not trying to be sneaky. We want to have our car out there visible, so if we can get voluntary compliance to school zones. It's much better than having to stop people and give them tickets. But by having our car very visible, if we stop people, we'll go, you couldn't even see my car, are you going to be able to see a student? And we kind of bring them back that way to keep them in. But for the most part, it's marked cars in marked crosswalks in marked school zones.
And are fines for breaking traffic laws in active school zones, are they multiplied?
Absolutely they are. And they do that for a reason. So they increase the fines for school zone violations. And it's not just for speeding. It's for failure to yield at a crosswalk and for passing school buses. Those fines are much larger because they take part of that fine and they put it into a certain fund that it allows schools to draw on that to make school zones even safer. Those fines are what help pay for the flashing lights and marked crosswalks and painted curbs, and that's where that money comes from, is from those that violate those safety laws in a school zone.
Wow. Well, Eric, thank you so much for your time, and thank you so much for coming on Explore Richland and talking about school zone safety. And of course, we just cannot stress safety in our school zones enough. Nothing is more precious than the life of a child. Slow down, pay attention, and ensure that you are safely navigating in and out of school zones. Now, if you would like more information on anything happening in the City of Richland, we encourage you to visit the link below. And while you're perusing the City of Richland's webpage, take a look at our Safe Routes maps. These maps will show you where walking paths, sidewalks, and crossing guards are located within a school zone. The Safe Routes maps are easy to find by using the hotlink /SafeRoutes. And if you are on social media, we are where you are. Find the City of Richland on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Instagram. I'm Mark Ingham. Thanks for joining me on this edition of Explore Richland.